10 songs that said goodbye to the 50s. Do you remember hearing this one on the radio? Or the moment this next one came on and everything just stopped? There was a moment in the history of music when everything changed, and it happened right at the close of the 1950s.
To tell you how much I love you.
These were the years when a generation was finally making itself heard, when an electric guitar could be as powerful as a revolution. Today, we're traveling back to those days, 10 massive hits that marked the farewell to an era, and at the same time, opened the door to a whole new world of sound.
I knew you were my pet. I want to tell you how.
Number 10, Charlie Brown, The Coasters.
Charlie Brown, Charlie Brown, he's a...
The final years of the 1950s felt like standing at the edge of something enormous. The post-war world had built itself around order and expectation.
Who's always goofing in the hall?
The quiet assumption that the young would fall into line and keep the machine running exactly as it always had. But the young had started to notice that the line led nowhere interesting.
Who, me? Yeah, you. Who walks in the class?
Charlie Brown arrived in January 1959, and every teenager in America heard themselves on the radio for the first time.
Cool and slow. Who calls the English teacher?
Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller, the team behind some of Elvis Presley's biggest records, were not writing a comedy. They were writing a 2-minute documentary about what it felt like to be young in 1959.
Charlie Brown, Charlie Brown, he's a clown.
The spitballs, the gambling in the gym, the kid calling the teacher Daddy-O, that was a real teenager who had looked at the world adults built and quietly refused to take it seriously.
Guess who? Who, me? Yeah, you. Who walks in?
The song hit number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. The BBC banned it outright in Britain, calling the spitball lyric a disgusting delinquent word. The ban lasted exactly 2 weeks before they realized they were being more absurd than Charlie Brown ever was.
Get caught. Just you wait and see. Why is everybody old?
Behind every laugh in this record was something sad. A generation trying to matter in a world that had already decided what they should be. The humor was a shield. Underneath it was a real question. Why does nobody see me for who I actually am?
That Charlie Brown, he's gonna get caught. Just you wait and see.
Number 9, What I Say, Ray Charles. If Charlie Brown gave teenagers a voice, What Comes Next tore down a wall America had spent decades building. In 1959, the rules were brutal and simple. Black artists recorded for black audiences. Gospel stayed in church. The industry had built its entire structure around keeping those worlds apart and making certain white teenagers never heard what was on the other side. Ray Charles walked onto a stage in Brownsville, Pennsylvania, ran out of prepared material, and accidentally destroyed all of it. What I Say erupted in real time, late in 1958, when Charles and his band kept playing because the clock still had minutes on it. The rolling piano, the call and response climbing between Charles and his singers, a room feeding back on itself, all improvised in front of a crowd watching history without knowing it. What he had done was take the raw spiritual power of black gospel music and pour it directly into a record every station in the country would play. And here is what that meant in 1959. Millions of young white Americans heard that sound coming through their bedroom radios and felt something crack open inside them. A music their parents had spent a lifetime keeping them away from, arriving anyway, undeniable. You cannot unhear something like that. A generation heard it, and America was never able to put that wall back up again. Elvis talked about it, the Beatles talked about it. Every soul singer of the 1960s pointed back here as the door they walked through. Number 8, Kansas City, Wilbert Harrison. From a wall coming down to a man who built something immortal in 15 minutes, then watched the industry take everything else. Wilbert Harrison arrived at the session so late, the band had already packed, and were heading for the door. Producer Bobby Robinson, running Fury Records out of Harlem with 24 singles and no hits, paid a few extra dollars to keep the studio open 15 more minutes. Harrison sat down at the piano. He had chosen a Lieber and Stoller song recorded twice before and ignored both times. Nobody believed in it. In those 15 borrowed minutes, on a $40 budget, Harrison cut a version so raw it made every previous attempt sound like a rehearsal. Wild Jimmy Spruill's guitar crackled like a barbed wire fence in a summer storm. Kansas City hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1959 and sold over 1 million copies. Then the cruelty arrived. A label Harrison had signed with years earlier filed suit claiming his recordings. The litigation dragged for months. Robinson could not release a follow-up while his artist was the hottest name in the country. By the time the court settled it, radio had moved on. Wilbert Harrison never cracked the top 40 again for a full decade. Imagine standing at the summit of your life and being told to wait, and waiting 10 years for a door that never reopened. Number 7, A Big Hunk of Love, Elvis Presley. In the summer of 1959, Elvis Presley was driving a military jeep through Friedberg, Germany, on $78 a month. The king of rock and roll was in uniform, an ocean away, while the decade he had ignited burned out without him, and yet his voice was everywhere.
Don't be a stingy little mama. You're about to stop me half to death.
On June 10, 1958, his one and only session during 2 years of military service, Elvis walked into RCA Studio B in Nashville and cut enough material to keep America listening while he was gone. A Big Hunk of Love was released June 23, 1959, went to number 1, and stayed 2 weeks. But here is what changes how you hear it. Weeks before that session, his mother Gladys died. He had been closer to her than almost anyone understood. He was in army training when she went, unable to grieve the way he needed to. When he walked into that Nashville studio, he was still carrying it raw. That urgency in the vocal, the almost desperate quality that makes this record feel different from everything else he ever cut. That is a grieving son pouring everything he could not say anywhere else into 2 minutes and 12 seconds of rock and roll. Hank Garland and Chet Atkins on guitars, Floyd Kramer on piano, the Jordanaires behind him, and Elvis burning with a grief the uniform had given him nowhere to put.
Before we get back to the music, take 1 second to hit that subscribe button. Most people who watch these videos aren't subscribed yet, and that means a lot of fans enjoying the music without being part of the community. If you love classic rock, legendary guitar riffs, and the songs that shaped generations, this channel was made for you. Every video takes time, research, and passion to bring these memories back to life. So if the music means something to you, Subscribe and help keep rock alive right here on this channel. Now let's get back to the music.
Number 6, Sleepwalk, Santo and Johnny. From grief made loud to grief made quiet. Because sleepwalk is what loss sounds like when it has no words left. Santo and Johnny Farina were brothers from Brooklyn. Their father came home from the Second World War carrying a memory from an army base in Oklahoma, a Hawaiian steel guitar he had heard on a radio out there. He wrote home saying he wanted his boys to learn that instrument. That single letter became their entire lives. Santo poured years into the steel guitar until the sound lived in his hands like breathing. They wrote Sleepwalk one night in 1959 because they could not sleep after a late gig. In the early morning quiet, they picked up their instruments and played into the dark. Santo was 22. Johnny was 18. What came out was a melody so complete and so quietly final, it barely needed anything around it. A steel guitar weeping through the night, and a gentle rhythm underneath, holding everything together, like a hand placed on a grieving shoulder. It hit number 1 in September 1959, on their very first release. It plays today at the end of the film La Bamba, the moment Ritchie Valens' family learns he is gone. The choice is devastating, because Sleepwalk sounds exactly like the moment after loss, like standing at a window at 2 in the morning, holding something you already know you cannot keep. Still ahead, a song the man who paid for it called Dog Meat. He nearly buried it before anyone heard a single note. It changed the entire sound of popular music for a decade, and after that, 2 songs whose singers never lived to see them reach their peak. Number 5, Stagger Lee, Lloyd Price. Underneath the poodle skirts and the sock hops, the 1950s carried something it never admitted to, a darkness just below the shine. Blood and danger living right alongside the drive-ins and the teenage love songs. Lloyd Price knew it. In early 1959, he put the whole truth on a record and dared American radio to play it. Stagger Lee was rooted in a real killing. Christmas night, 1895, a St. Louis saloon. A man named Lee Shelton, who shot Billy Lyons, because Lyons grabbed his Stetson hat and refused to give it back. By 1959, the story had traveled the Mississippi River for over 60 years. Price rebuilt it with a horn section that hit like a freight train, and a vocal so commanding that Stagger Lee stopped being a criminal and became a force of nature. It hit number 1 on February 9th, 1959, and stayed 4 weeks. At its peak, it was selling roughly 200,000 copies every single day. Then Dick Clark demanded a sanitized version where nobody gets shot and everybody shakes hands. Price recorded it under protest and called the result ridiculous. The original survived because you cannot sanitize 60 years of truth with a handshake. The danger was always in the grooves. Price simply had the courage to let you hear it. Number 4, There Goes My Baby, The Drifters. The same decade that could turn a murder into a #1 record could also produce something so tender it changed music forever. And it happened almost entirely by accident. In March 1959, a completely rebuilt version of the Drifters walked into a New York studio for the first time. Ben E. King, 21 years old, was the new lead voice. Producers Lieber and Stoller piled everything onto the recording. Soaring strings, a Brazilian bion rhythm never heard on an R&B record, timpani, kettle drums. The timpani was out of tune. King's vocal came in early. By every professional standard, it was a disaster. Atlantic Vice President Jerry Wexler called it dog meat. He said they had wasted the label's money on an overpriced production that sounded like a radio caught between two stations. Ahmet Ertegun agreed it was unreleasable, but he let them put it out expecting nothing. It went to #2 on the Hot 100 and #1 on the R&B chart. The chaotic, out-of-tune sound Lieber and Stoller stumbled into became the blueprint for an entire decade of soul music. Phil Spector heard it and built a career on it. The man who called it dog meat was wrong. Music has spent 60 years proving it. Number 3, Sea of Love, Phil Phillips. If the Drifters proved what a studio full of money could accidentally create, this next record proved something gentler. That the most enduring love song of the decade came from a man with nothing at all.
Do you remember when we met?
John Philip Baptiste was a bellhop at the Chateau Charles Hotel in Lake Charles, Louisiana, in 1958. No label, no manager, no connections, just a guitar and a feeling about a girl named Verdi Mae Thomas, who did not believe he would amount to anything. So he wrote her a song about a quiet, peaceful place where love could exist without doubt. A gas meter reader heard him practicing in a back room and stopped walking. He stood in the corridor and listened until the song ended. Then he told Baptiste he had a hit. That meter reader passed the word to producer George Curry. They recorded it in roughly 10 takes. Mercury Records picked it up nationally and changed Baptiste's name to Phil Phillips, deciding John Baptiste was not radio-friendly enough.
I want to tell you how.
Sea of Love hit #2 in the summer of 1959 and became the slow dance of a generation. He never had another hit.
I want to tell you how.
He died on his 94th birthday in 2020, in the same town where he had written it, still trying to win a girl who did not believe in him. Number 2, Donna, Ritchie Valens. From a quiet love song to something almost unbearable, because Donna is a 17-year-old boy's entire heart pressed into 2 minutes, released into a world about to take him before he saw what it became. Ritchie Valens was born Richard Stephen Valenzuela in Pacoima, California. His label changed his last name to something more radio-friendly, a routine erasure that tells you everything about what the industry of 1959 thought about a young Hispanic artist. He had been recording for less than 8 months. He was the first Latino rock star. He met Donna Ludwig in 1957. Her parents disapproved. She was white, he was Hispanic. She sneaked out of her bedroom window at night to meet him. He called her one day and told her he had written a song with her name in it. She did not think he would actually record it. The first time Donna Ludwig heard Donna by Ritchie Valens was in a moving car with friends, coming through the radio without warning. She said later, of course she cried. The song was climbing toward number 2 when he died on February 3rd, 1959. He was 17. He won a coin toss for his seat on that plane. He lost everything else. He never heard it reach number 2. He was just beginning. Number 1, It Doesn't Matter Anymore, Buddy Holly. He walked in the way you walk into any room where you are about to do what you love, with purpose, and the ordinary confidence of someone who expects to walk back out again. He recorded a song Paul Anka had written for him, strings, orchestral and delicate, a sound pointing toward the artist Holly was becoming. He nailed the vocal on the first take, 3.5 hours. He walked out with everything still ahead of him. The single was released January 5th, 1959. 29 days later, he boarded a small chartered plane at Mason City Municipal Airport in Iowa. Waylon Jennings had given up his seat to the Big Bopper, who was sick with flu. Holly joked that he hoped the tour bus froze. Jennings joked back that he hoped the plane crashed. Two exhausted young men who could not imagine anything going wrong. The pilot was not certified to fly by instruments alone. The plane came down in a frozen cornfield minutes after takeoff. Buddy Holly was 22. The song reached number 13 in America and number 1 in Britain in April 1959, the first posthumous number 1 in British chart history. Paul Anka donated every penny of his songwriter royalties to Holly's widow Maria Elena, saying the song carried a tragic irony now, but at least it would help look after Buddy Holly's family. Called February 3rd, the day the music died. What died in that cornfield was the unrecorded albums, the unwritten songs, the artist Holly was still becoming. He had been recording less than 3 years. In that time, he invented the guitar band template. Every rock group since has followed. The Beatles named themselves after his band, the Crickets, as a direct tribute. He was 22. He was just beginning. And the last thing he left the world was called It Doesn't Matter Anymore. 10 songs. 1 year. A decade that closed not with a celebration, but with a record still climbing the charts, and a 22-year-old in a frozen field who never heard how far it traveled. A $40 session. A room on fire in Pennsylvania. 2 brothers playing in the dark. A bellhop and a girl who did not believe in him. A teenager who won a coin toss and lost everything. Somewhere tonight there is a record still sitting in a box in an attic. A 45 with a worn paper sleeve, bought by someone who was 17 in 1959 and had no idea they were holding the end of an era in their hands.